Good evening and greetings to all your viewers. Yes, indeed, today we were at a roadblock in the Eastern Cape, one of the many areas in the country where national, provincial and local government are working together with civil society to promote road safety, to ensure that vehicles are roadworthy, and of course to emphasize a common message to all drivers that road safety begins with each and every one of us.
In order to do that, then a lot of the segments within road traffic management, for example, need to be ready themselves. Is road traffic management ready? Is the transport department itself ready for the upcoming long weekend?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we have been working together since the 20th of March. And we have operation centers all over the country where different municipal, provincial, and national traffic police get together. They arrange joint operations, they monitor traffic flows, and of course, they are ready in the event of any emergency so that there should be suitable help and support. Of course, we are also working with the South African Police Services in case that there is criminal activity. We work with our cross-border management agency that will be making sure that vehicles that are moving into our neighboring states via road are also safe. And we are all together managing the increased volumes.
But what about the state of roads, Minister? Because one would imagine that you'd also need to work with infrastructure and public works, for example, to ensure that the roads themselves are actually fully safe, especially when considering that the rains that we've just had have really created quite a number of potholes along national roads and the like.
Yes, indeed. I think we are very worried that further rain is predicted for the coming long weekend, and we know that rain obviously has a tremendous impact not only on the road surface, but also, of course, makes driving conditions more dangerous. But I have to say to you that 80% of all accidents in our country are caused by human error. And this includes speeding, drinking under the influence of alcohol, texting while driving, and of course, fatigue plays a major role. And, you know, already we have stopped over 80,000 vehicles in our operations. I have to tell you, we have been horrified over the last 2 days in the Eastern Cape. We've arrested more than 250 people who are driving well over the legal limit, one of whom had 9 times the legal limit in his bloodstream, and he thought it appropriate to get behind the wheel of a car.
So what does this require then? Is this greater law enforcement that needs to come from yourselves along with, of course, the police department as well?
Yes, I mean, obviously we have to have consistent law enforcement day in and day out. In the operation I was part of this afternoon, almost every vehicle we pulled off the road, there was something wrong. In one instance, somebody didn't have a driving license. In another instance, the registration of the car was not valid. We had a truck where the rear tires were not in good condition. And I think that what it's telling us is that the public doesn't believe that they're going to be stopped and therefore feels free to engage in activities that are indeed dangerous. So greater law enforcement is very important, but also working with all of our civil society partners, all of us giving the same message that we need to change our behavior if we're going to get our appalling road death statistics down.
But how do we change behavior? Is it just a case of more law enforcement that ultimately does it? Because, Minister, we keep saying this every year, and unfortunately the carnage does continue.
Well, I'm very encouraged that in the first 3 months of this year, we have seen a significant decrease in the number of fatal accidents and also in the number of deaths. And this is attributable to the fact that we've been having law enforcement operations during long weekends. We're working very closely with both the Metropolitan Police and, of course, the provincial traffic officers to make sure that we have greater visibility at night. The majority of accidents occur between 6 in the evening and 8 o'clock at night. So that visibility in the evenings is terribly important. But I think that through all of our social partners, the big media campaigns we're running, the social websites that we are running, we are starting to see greater interest from the public and greater participation from the public. So given the fact that the stats are coming down, although they are still way, way too high, I am hopeful that if we continue in a consistent manner, we will reach our target of reducing road deaths and accidents by 50% by 2030.
50% by 2030. Need to hold you to account to that one then, Minister, whether you're in the portfolio, of course, or not. Hopefully it is a departmental sense as well. Just wanted to ask, if I may, about road cameras and just whether we need to, one, increase those on national roads specifically, but at the same time, there were quite a few a number of years ago that were out of service. And that was primarily a contractual issue that took place, etc. as well. Has there been a way to sort that out? Do we know what the situation is? Is there restoration of some of those? What is the situation with our road cameras?
Well, I think that at specified places on our roads, particularly mountain passes, tunnels, in the approaches to the toll roads, there would be cameras. And of course, we know that many long-distance vehicles have dash cameras, all of which have a traffic calming effect. And of course, the particular problem you are relating to is to do with the speed trap devices that were not authorized by the South African Bureau of Standards. We have managed to get some models authorized so that traffic police can start to use those without court challenges. But obviously those are primarily in urban areas and are very important in terms of reducing speed and acting as a traffic calming measure.
So does that mean we're going to see perhaps a further rollout of those speed cameras, road cameras and the likes?
Well, I think that we are living in the age of technology. And we do know that many of the provinces, such as Gauteng, for example, and the Western Cape, are interested in using more technology to enhance their safety operations in general. Of course, some provinces may not be in the position to afford this technology, but there is no doubt that it does have a multiplier effect. And I'm sure over the coming years, we're going to see increasing usage.
That will be interesting to see then. Minister, should we be having more rest zones or rest areas, particularly for long-haul transporters and, of course, during these festive times as well, where you have areas in which you have people that need them as they travel a long distance?
Yes, and I think we are trying to get across the message that if you're traveling long distance, you should be stopping every 2 hours. Of course, we have many facilities on our national highways. I think that on the secondary roads, one may not find as many safe facilities for drivers to pull over. But we would encourage both private drivers and drivers who are driving public transport vehicles to rest every 2 hours, because it has been shown that this assists in combating fatigue. And of course, fatigue, particularly at night, is a very dangerous factor on the roads.
Certainly is. Greater resting certainly needed there. Pedestrian killings are unfortunately, Minister, very significant. Those have happened a lot in the past festive season. We could obviously have some great concern about that happening now as well. Then how do we reduce that?
It's an enormous concern. 40% of those who are killed on our roads are pedestrians. We have introduced greater law enforcement in terms of preventing people from walking and crossing highways. But we're also doing quite a lot of work with councillors where local communities are living on both sides of major roads, trying to make sure that we encourage people to use bridges where those exist. In many instances, people are lazy to walk to the bridge, which is over the main road. And of course, children particularly don't have an understanding why this is important. We do ongoing safety work with schools to try and ensure that where children have to cross roads, either going to school or coming home from school, there should be adults policing that activity. So this is something that remains top of mind, and it is something that we are working with the South African Local Government Association to encourage all councillors to be looking at areas in their wards where there is high risk to pedestrians and do more public education around that.
Just very quickly, how much of this is an infrastructure problem as well? Just you don't have enough bridges. We don't have enough infrastructure built up for all the things that we're looking at.
Well, I think, it's no secret that we have rapid urbanization in our country, and many settlements are informal settlements. They were not planned in the first place. And obviously, as you point out, they don't have pedestrian bridges or other forms of facilities that allow people to safely cross roads. And I suppose that is one of the problems with rapid urbanization in a developing country such as our own.
Transport Minister Barbara Creecy, appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much for joining us ahead of the long and busy festive Easter weekend that, of course, is coming up next week. Certainly something we will be looking towards and trying to get a sense of the carnage, and hopefully it is minimized indeed. Launching that road safety campaign for that long weekend. Transport Minister Barbara Creecy.